I want to bring people into the fold. I want to bring people into understanding that, like, actually, we have so much more in common with the people of Iran or the people of Lebanon than we do with the Jeff Bezoses of the world.
I didn't know that there was that kind of like kinship between theater kids and punk kids. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that? Like the relationship between those two styles of music?
I think when I answered that way, I think it's more like the type of person that
Yeah.
attracts
Mhm.
to those genres. There's this island of misfit toys like thing where it's like, no, the tech people and the actors, like they all have these different interests, but they're all secretly like, yeah, but I just like love Legally Blonde the musical. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I always found like the punk spots were the places for like the weirdos and the kids that fit in, like, or kids that didn't fit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were dressing in like wacky clothing and they were painting their nails and they had like crazy hairstyles and all this stuff. And like the whole like punk I don't give a fuck thing was something that really appealed to me, because it's not just I don't give a fuck in a vacuum, right?
Mhm.
It's like I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I like the way I look with my painted nails, or I like the way I look with my like hair spiked or whatever, and I don't give a fuck that you don't like it.
I'm curious too about your music writing process in terms of its, I'm going to call it like the personality, because style doesn't seem like the right word, but I feel like your music toes the line between drama and comedy. Does this like dual personality feel like a conscious choice that you're thinking about when you write, or is it just a natural reflection of how you see the world?
I really don't think that I write a lot of like haha funny songs. It's kind of just the way that I see the world. Like I really I've struggled with depression. I'm very open about this. Like I've struggled with depression. I've had suicidal ideations in the past, and the most infuriating part about having depression and being told to go on a little walk or exercise or drink water more, the worst part about that is that it works. It's infuriating.
That's honest. Yeah. No.
It's so frustrating. It's like I gotta get up again, go outside, and it's gonna help. Oh, like terrible. And that's the thing is like I'm joking about about a thing that like did almost take my life, but like at the same time, like I feel like there is a certain extent of like I have to be able to joke about stuff. I have to be able to talk about stuff, because when I tend to write, I write about the stuff that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
I write about, you know, you referenced the song Sit Back, and I wrote that song during the pandemic, the chorus of which is just I sit back and relax as the world is ending. I, like a lot of people, I wanted to write some pandemic art, but I didn't want to be like, you know, write my lyrics and be like, when the virus hit.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to consume as much news as possible about it, because that made me feel like I had control over it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, in reality, I'm like, I'm doing nothing. Like I'm learning stuff to no ends, to no means. And I tried to figure out like the times in my life, and I wanted to write at it from those scenarios of like, you know, when my dad had appendicitis and almost died when I was like 16 or something like that, there's this feeling of like, well, let me get the update. Tell me what's going on, like whatever. And all I'm doing is just spinning my wheels, waiting to see if a doctor can do his job. And when there was this port explosion in Beirut, which I mentioned earlier in the interview, I'm Lebanese. Like I tried to, you know, I did some like raising money and whatever, but what I was so frustrated about was like, you know, I felt so badly and felt this like survivor's guilt of like, well, my family got out a while ago, and you know, I don't have a lot of folks there, but I do have like a community of folks that are Arab and Lebanese who had relatives stuck there. And you know, you can raise money, you can do the Instagram like, you know, donation match stuff, but at a certain point there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
So you know, that song's not so like haha funny as much as it is like, you know, I find it funny that I'm just like wandering around this parking lot during my work shift being like, I forgot my gloves, and I like and I'm freezing right now, and also like it's silly that I'm worrying about my forgotten gloves. Like I don't know, all that to say is like, this is just the way I kind of like see the world. I need to get it out with comedy a little bit, but I don't know, I write music for people to be able to understand me, and without the sharper edge, I don't think people get the full picture.
One of the reasons that we chose you, I should specify, is that our application is very community focused. So you were one of those people, you wrote about your experience growing up Arab, as well as how important community building is to you. And I'm going to quote you if you don't mind. As a member of the Swana songwriting community, I want to use my music to break down stereotypes about American Arabs and Arabs abroad to ensure that Americans see the humanity inside of the places our country seems to endlessly invade.
I only started writing about my Arab identity maybe 3-4 years ago. Part of that was I'm mixed, that's only on my mom's side. So it's only part of it. And I didn't know how much of that mantle I was allowed to take. My grandfather was an Arab man. He was like a dark-skinned Arab man who grew up in Boston. And he was a member of the US military and he fought in World War II. And there's this parallel between his service and the service of one of my cousin's fiance, who was killed in Iraq. What my grandfather was doing, what Frederick was doing, was a noble cause and recognized as such. And then I had, a soon-to-be member of the family killed for no reason, for a war that we shouldn't have been a part of. And they feel disparate at first, but then you start to realize, like, it is the dehumanization of Arab life abroad. For the folks that don't know, there was this massive port explosion in Beirut. I think it was August of 2021, if I'm remembering correctly. And a lot of the commentary about it, there was this implication that that's a normal thing to happen there. It's a normal thing for people in Arab countries to deal with war and explosions. And it isn't. It isn't, and it's something that we have been kind of conditioned to believe. I don't blame Americans for feeling this way, but we get told over and over, like, actually, like, it's strategically advancing our, like, yada 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 whatever for us to give, billions of dollars to the Israeli military to commit apartheid. It is part of our psyche, and I think I have a bit of a responsibility as someone who sees both sides of it. I want to bring people into the fold. I want to bring people into understanding that, like, actually, we have so much more in common with the people of Iran or the people of Lebanon who are struggling under US sanctions or who are not getting the aid that would be designated to other countries with different racial makeups. We have so much more in common with them than we do with the Jeff Bezoses of the world.
All I hear about from these different countries and stuff is like the geopolitics of it, the way that like the different powers of the world are like manipulating and using the pieces. It's so easy when you're inundated with stuff like that to forget that there are actual like human beings on the ground who are suffering as the result of all these decisions.
Right.
And like each time you hear about, oh, there was an attack here, we're attacking this for the other thing. Each time you hear about that and you're just like, they're playing moves in like this game of chess to like maneuver. Every time you move a piece on the chessboard, hundreds of people die, hundreds of families are destroyed as a result of that.
Well, the other thing that I want people to like think about and recognize is like, we're talking about like these chess pieces and geopolitical. The people there, those people are like, you know what they're worried about? Like, they're like, what am I going to make for dinner tonight?
Exactly.
Like, and not in the like, oh, they're this like whatever. It's like, I don't know. I got to try something new with my hummus recipe. It's not hitting like too. Like, they are regular, normal human beings trying to live their lives, and we're disrupting that. And we have so much more in common with them and each other than we do with the people who are at the top making the chess moves. Can y'all clip that into like a more condensed answer that sounds really smart?
I will do that. Yeah, I will.
Autumn can.
I'll cut that together.